happening. This is not happening. This is not happening.
This situation developing unexpectedly during a formal inquiry into your reported death, Agent Mulder. The fact of your being here today very much alive. It gives the effect of reshaping this investigation into something altogether different, as we are now put upon to verify the identity of this body found in your apartment and the circumstances which led to this.
Would you care to enlighten us on these circumstances?
Are you suggesting that I can?
Agent Mulder, we're here informally to give you the chance to help yourself.
Help myself how?
By allowing any facts or details which might serve to let us go forward with this inquiry in a more informed manner.
That helps you. How does that help me?
Agent Mulder, this is going to quickly become a murder investigation. Criminal charges are going to be made.
We have only one other suspect, and she may no longer be able to testify on her own behalf.
Agent Scully lied to us. Why?
Who's protecting whom, Agent Mulder?
Your choice is your own, but your failure to answer will reflect poorly on the record in a formal inquiry.
Are we finished then?
So tonight we're talking about Redux II, the sequel to the sequel in Season 5. Written by Chris Carter, directed by Kim Manners. And just a little background. Chris Carter and Frank Spotnitz think this is one of the best episodes they'd ever done. I'm wondering if
I would agree.
Initial thoughts on this episode.
It's just such a good reset button. We get closure to Scully's sickness, at least what we appear to be closure. Mulder believes this new theory that, aliens are just a big hoax and that the military and government are really just using the American public to continue doing things with weaponry and giving us an excuse to keep building ourselves into a superpower. He's kind of lost in this episode. His life has been kind of turned upside down with Kritschgau and his revelations. This whole episode is Mulder just struggling to make sense of everything. Scully is about to die. Literally, he's going to be losing the most important person to him, more so than I believe his sister at this point. And the emotion in this level and this episode is so palpable. And Duchovny does such a good job. Scully has her breakdown moment where she finally comes back to faith. It's just a very powerful episode, and it really propelled the series forward. They've been around for 4 years, and this episode kind of wrapped up those 4 years nicely and put us in a new era of the show. And it's almost like a callback to the last episode where we were saying it's such an unconventional episode with all that monologuing. It just sets this episode up perfectly.
Yeah, I'm glad that they don't go back to the well for all the monologue action of Redux. I think we don't need to rehash Redux, but ultimately
sure.
I think this episode works because a lot of the groundwork for it has been set up in the previous episode. And now we're going to get the payoff for all the stuff that's been established. The only thing I would say about this is it's funny. I get a real Empire Strikes Back vibe from this episode with CSM tempting Mulder to the dark side, and the father illusion here is obviously pretty strong with him strolling out Samantha, and we question, wait a second, if CSM is Samantha's father, then does that even mean that Mulder's father is legit? So there's a lot of illusion there, but of course Mulder being the hero, he's not going to take that offer. But that's skipping ahead. Maybe we'll just sort of work it through the episode a bit, and we can tease out some of the details. We open with Mulder in the hospital looking for Scully, getting the runaround from people who won't or can't help him, and he loses it. And I'd say this is pretty good, typical Mulder fashion. Can anybody help me? What's going on?
It's so good. As unbelievable as the hospital staff is in this moment, Duchovny's acting is just so good. When he sees her, his look on his face is so defeated. He can't believe what he's seeing. Skinner confronts him. He wants nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
He gets very physical with Skinner very quick. And Skinner ultimately essentially has to arrest him.
Yeah.
Just to get him out of the room.
I love Skinner's line of, you're looking pretty good for a dead man.
Yeah.
Well, they
That's
probably
pretty good.
did like 22 takes of it. So, Kim Manners is like, and we'll use that take. Perfect.
His frustration in this scene is actually real.
I believe
I've done it 13,000 times.
Classic direction. Just break down your actors until they're mentally unstable.
I've got you where I want you.
But yeah, I like how hard it hits Mulder in this scene to see Scully back in the ICU and one breath. And yeah, we get a lot of parallels between that episode and this episode. Directed by R.W. Goodwin, One Breath. This one's not. It's directed by Kim Manners. So you got to wonder, I mean, Redux was directed by R.W. Goodwin. So it's the same people involved in these two episodes. But in this one, I really like the idea that Scully can be the key to solve this. Like, they can pin the murder on her, and she'll take it to her grave, and this will allow Mulder to continue. But the idea that he can't let that happen because he loves her too much. Essentially, he can't do that to her family. All they've been through, it's just too much. It's a line he can't cross. I really like that detail.
I do see the parallels to One Breath, definitely, especially in the opening. But I think it takes its own beats and doesn't rely on those same emotional kind of tags that One Breath had. There are some definite similarities, but this episode, as you said, it takes a lot of different turns, and Mulder's getting tempted by the dark side, and we don't see anything like that in One Breath, and that was more so about putting Scully first, and in this one it's the conclusion of that story.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
So we finish our reveal, we finish our cold open, and then we get to go back to the FBI with Section Chief Blevins and my favorite, the third agent. Get to have a conversation with Mulder about the fact that he's not dead. And there are a lot of words here, but essentially they offer Mulder the opportunity to explain what's going on, which he doesn't do, and he leaves.
He's not bullshitting outside of the fact that he's not really giving them any information.
Yeah.
He doesn't care anymore. At this point, he doesn't trust anyone, and he's not going to give them what they want. And he leaves the meeting on his terms, his superior. And he's like, fuck you. I'm not doing this right now. They're kind of just left in the lurch there, which is, I think they're like, okay, let's just let him go because we've got to approach this the right way.
I like that this is setting us up for the idea that maybe Mulder could be convinced to go work for the cigarette smoking man. This is him, being pushed to the edge of the system has abused you heavily, and now we're going to prosecute you for a crime you kind of did commit, but not really. You committed for good reasons. But ultimately, he could be persuaded to maybe leave because this avenue through the FBI is, they're not making it easy for him.
Yeah, he's literally up against the wall here.
Yep.
And so CSM's offer would be the final straw in that.
And they're so desperate to make Skinner the bad guy here. Like, just the way they write him, the way that he looks, he's so cagey. The revelation, like, Mulder does let him in. I like that, he's made a choice. He's going to trust Skinner, gives him the details. But then there's that moment where, he says there's a mole in the FBI, or I forget, the inside source, how he phrases it. And then Skinner's like, oh, did he tell you who it was?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, you better find out.
It's kind of like in the last episode where he shows up, right at the last minute. They kind of overplay their hand sometimes with trying to push the audience in a certain direction. Yeah. But I mean, it works for me. This episode's still very tight.
Yeah. I like, again, similar to other episodes, you don't get to know everything about the characters unless they're Mulder and Scully. You know them because they're our North Stars in this case. We are with them every step of the way. But these other characters, I think the episode does a really good job of keeping us on our toes of, can we trust them? What do they want? What is their agenda?
Well, and it brings up, Skinner's his waffling. He's always played that center line. So should we have ever trusted him? I think they do have that cachet with the audience. Skinner has helped Mulder and Scully more times than not, but with all those off episodes where he's kind of stuck between CSM and Mulder and he's coming down on Mulder or giving him a hard time, it does in general kind of make you wonder in the moment for seeing this for the first time.
Yep. Well, speaking of the CSM, we get to do a cut and go to the racetrack.
Racetrack.
I trust you've heard.
Mulder is alive.
As I said, he's not to be underestimated.
Yes, as you said. Though I hear he has you to thank in some part for his new freedom.
Using a stolen ID, Mulder was able to get inside the Advanced Research Project's facility.
And you allowed him to escape.
Yes.
We're too vulnerable. Our man in the FBI is exposed. What Mulder may have seen could expose our plans.
What Mulder's seen only serves us. It serves to ensure our plans.
What are we calling this guy? He's the well-fed man?
I call him the well-fed man. I think I saw that somewhere, and I liked it. So
just call him bad lower teeth. So we're getting another treat at the racetrack, and he's watching committee meetings. This time it's on human cloning, and I feel like that's a bit of a red herring. This whole human cloning committee meeting, like obviously it's showing that they're plugged in, that things are happening. They've got their fingers in a lot of pies, but I don't know. Are we supposed to draw some sort of illusion with cloning? Are we supposed to get something?
That's a good question. I don't know that I ever did.
Maybe it was topical.
Yeah.
Because even then, when later on we see Skinner in the committee hearing, and the first elder gets super upset about what's he doing there? Who's he talking to? That's it. They seem to make it a big deal, but I just never felt like the cloning thing turned into something. Talking about bringing Mulder over to the dark side. And,
yes.
Literally, the first elder is the Emperor. CSM is Darth Vader.
He's using this opportunity. He's like, I let him escape DARPA, and well-fed man's lost faith in cigarette smoking man at this point. He's not taking care of things the way he should think, or he thinks they should be taken care of. And in the first shot at the horse track race, we are actually kind of softly introduced to the hitman.
Mm-hmm. You can proceed now. Oh, he says that line so ominously.
Yep.
So well
and
done.
it was unexpected too.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that we see the wheels turning in the well-fed man's head, that he's basically calculating that, nope, he can pretty fairly do without CSM. And let's proceed with taking him out now.
Quiet Willie.
You are making that up.
I do not believe this.
He is no Willie. He's a Howard,
Quiet
if
Willie.
anything. Come on. Can you find out the name of the actor who played him? Is his name Willie something? Because that would be the only reason that he would be called that.
Quiet Willie.
All right, we'll circle back to Quiet Willie.
Quiet Willie, hanging out.
So we're back at the hospital. Scully sees Mulder at the hospital, and we got that whole thing now of, they're going to be seen. What are you doing here? And I kind of like that she's out of the loop on that.
It's also a little moving, not in a cheesy way, but that her first concern is, why is he in public?
Yeah.
She's dying, literally dying, and she's so concerned about him. She cares about him so much. It's just awesome. The scene between them, great. He avoids her questions for just a little bit, but then
classic Mulder method.
He's actually trying to get her mind off of things by trying to crack a joke or two.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we do not see from Mulder a lot. We can joke about how disconnected he is from his partner, but in this moment when she really needs it, he's there for her and he's looking out for her.
So, is there a official acronym or shorthand name for this scene? Is this I know there's this business of the rock, the scene on the rock. Is there a similar name for this moment? The scene with the bed?
It's Sith, scene in the hospital, which is a callback to Darth Vader.
Hey, it all plays together pretty well.
No, I don't believe there's a...
All right, well, that shows you how much I know about the whole shipper business.
Yeah.
I do like, though, that they raise it here, that Scully is the one to raise it as well. And because Mulder's not going to be the one. I just had this great idea, Scully. Seeing as you're dying, what if we say you came to my apartment and shot that dude? We could make that work, right?
Turns out I'm in a pickle.
Turns out they got the death penalty here in Maryland, and
I'm not feeling too good about that.
How good a
shotgun
friend
to the
are you?
face.
It's just a question. So on that point, obviously we've talked that up and down. I think it's really quite moving between the two of them. But yeah, they've been through a lot.
Yeah.
I also like that we've got our first sort of difference of opinion about Skinner at this point. We've got Mulder saying, yeah, Skinner's on my side. He's withholding the pathology report of the guy who got killed. He's withholding the evidence, but then Scully's like, oh no, he's dirty. I saw the phone lines, the PBX report. I know that phone calls were made, and I have very flimsy evidence that shows that it was probably
Right.
him. I'm surprised that she's quick to say it's Skinner, even though like Blevins is clearly the one that brought her into the X-Files. You know, he spoke to me as being a bit more obvious suspect.
I think this is probably the weakest part of this two-parter or three-parter, but it's not bad. It's just that Scully needed someone else to point the finger at, and I think they went to Skinner because he's just believable enough. But as the audience, even watching it for the first time, it's like, there's no fucking way. Why would Blevins suddenly care about Mulder's project or his search for the paranormal?
Well, in terms of how the script works, obviously Blevins gets sacrificed at the end, and that's the reveal, right? Like it works for that reason.
Exactly.
To have our twist ending that you think he's going to name Skinner because we've been propping him up that whole way, right up to the point where he doesn't. I dig it. You know, it's a nice twist, and in the moment it was pretty cool. It's like, oh, he did that thing, and all the other characters are shocked.
That whole scene is awesome.
But we're skipping ahead. We won't go there just yet. All that to say that they do their damnedest to make us think that maybe Skinner's not all, you know, maybe he's not all there. But they also give us a lot to say that he is trustworthy, you know. To their credit, I suppose they're keeping us guessing.
Yeah, and from there we move on to the scene that I fucking hate. Mulder introducing himself to Bill, Scully's brother. This is so painful to watch because I want to strangle Bill because oh my.
I get it. I get it. He's everything that Mulder isn't, right? And we've had Mulder for 5 seasons. We've seen all the challenges that he's had to go through. We get it. But at the same time, you could look at Bill Scully and go, actually, if you didn't see what Mulder had seen, I could see it from his point of view.
And I do understand that. I understand he's lost a sister already and he's losing another. But to actually lay the blame on another man when you have no idea what the issues are and what's happened throughout the past 4 years, it's a little shitty, to say the least. And,
for sure.
It's a little counterintuitive, in my opinion, because he's got such a problem with Mulder, but he doesn't believe anything about paranormal. So it's like, so how is cancer Mulder's fault? You know, we can't give this to people.
This episode, to skip to that point, it does a really good job of identifying the what ifs and identifying the questions that you, the viewer, have. Because you need somebody to essentially throw some guilt on Mulder for the situation that the family finds itself in. And I like that Mulder calls it out by saying, I'm not going to sit back here and watch this family drama unfold when there is a possibility that this thing that I've got here could save her life. And especially when he says, is it going to interfere with this other treatment? You know, they're asking those intelligent questions that you, the viewer, would probably be sitting there asking as well. If you're like in that room with them going, no, put the chip in. We know it's going to work. But, you know, there are obvious day-to-day concerns that they would be having as well. I don't know. I just like the writing in this one. It's very smart.
Yeah. At this point, CSM's like, I have to talk to you. And even knowing that this is the guy who is killing your partner, Mulder's, again, back against the wall. You got to listen to the guy. Yeah. If this guy wants to talk to you, you're going to go listen to him.
He's got something he can give you in this case. I mean, it's the very first little opening that, you know, he's engineered this essentially so that he can maybe get his hooks into Mulder. I think he probably could have done it another way and maybe an easier way, a little less elaborate way, but he's here now and he sees an opening, so he's going to take it. And it's the very first temptation. If you want to go biblical, then this is Jesus being tempted by the devil of, here are all the things I can give you. I think it's worth also mentioning, was it Wild Willie? Quiet Willie? That's the guy. And he's like Chris Carter's cousin. Yeah. If you heard him speak, you'd know why they didn't give him any lines. So they cut him a lot into these scenes with his preparation, climbing up the stairs, and the Mark Snow going into overdrive with the music to tell us that this guy is bad news. But we're getting the big swells, and he's setting up the gun, and he's going to be looking through it at times. I think this guy is a hack, just to cut to the point where he's, he could take out the cigarette smoking man at any moment, but yet he doesn't. I'm like, what were his orders in this episode? Because it's not clear.
Very comfortable shot. Wait till he's at home. I don't care how good of a shot you got beforehand. Just wait.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you can kill him. You got to practice. I want you to go out there and practice. You may proceed now with the practicing, but don't do it until...
It's kind of like pilot hours. You need at least like 2,000.
2,000 menacing hours. That's good.
There is a slight hesitation when he first looks down the scope. It's like, okay, which way is it going to go? But then it kind of drifts towards CSM almost immediately.
Yeah. All right, so we have our scene with the lone gunmen.
Yeah, it's good to see them as always.
Even if they're only in there for about 20 seconds.
And it didn't occur to them in Redux 1 that the vial of liquid they've got actually could contain a chip. It's just deionized water.
Listen, that water's very special.
No one thought to give it a tap a day ago.
As I recall, he really had to ding that thing to get that out of there.
He did. It was stuck to the bottom.
Yeah. You leave it long enough, it gets wedged in there. It's a real problem. So, this is the cure for Scully's cancer. I'd be curious to know... All right, if we track all the things that Scully's had put into her, she's had the...
Whoa!
I don't know how you could take that anyway, but the honest way. So she's had that initial. What was it? There's a little, the thing that she showed to all the other women in
the implant. Yeah.
So this, are we led to believe, is a tracking device, or is it the thing that is going to give her cancer, or it's keeping her from getting cancer?
This is going to counteract the cancer she was given. The idea, as I understand it, the abduction, the chip they put in her, if it's removed as evidence and as a way of destroying evidence, aka the person they put it into, it causes cancer. So that person is taken out.
Gotcha.
So this chip will counteract that because it's being put back under her skin of her neck.
Okay. So why is the chip put in the implant? Why is it put in there in the first place?
It is partially what you said about tracking device.
It's a tracking device. Okay.
We can go back all the way to Dwayne Barry for that. How did he know where to find her?
Oh yeah.
How did Billy Miles know to take things or people to the forest? That kind of thing. Transmitter.
Okay.
That's kind of...
Everybody who's listening can forget everything we just said because we're going to deal with that later. Okay, but the long and the short of it is they've had a backup plan for if they don't want somebody that accidentally gets cancer to die, they can throw this thing in there and boom, she's going to be all right. That's good writing.
The removal of the original chip gives them cancer.
Yeah, but if they then change their minds...
Yeah,
they have this other chip they can put in there.
It re-uncancers them.
Could they just stick the first one back in? I mean, no.
I don't even know if she has that anymore.
Because what they need to do is wipe her memory. That would just solve so many problems.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
No. See, that's the easy way out.
So we're going to cut to Kritschgau's testimony before the FBI DOD panel.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that the conference room lighting continues to be amazing, and they get great mileage out of that set.
Fantastic. FBI of darkness.
The dark side of the FBI. But I love how Krichkow doesn't pull any punches. He gives them everything they want to know, and at the end he drops the fact that his son died this morning, which apparently nobody cares about.
They don't care at all. Don't care at all. This is the turning point, and we don't see any development on this for a couple seasons after this. But Krichkow says, or they ask him, do you know of any death in connection with Mulder and Scully?
Yeah.
Of Scott Asselhoff. Do you understand there's a connection there? He says, no, but I do have the death of my son as a connection. So he's now blaming, at least this is my interpretation, Mulder for his son's death, which I find interesting because I don't recall Mulder ever like guaranteeing he's going to find the cure for his son.
I don't think it's connected. I think it's an example of some tenuous writing in this particular scene. I think he essentially just wanted an opportunity to make everyone feel a little bit badder on the table.
Yeah. Please don't prosecute me. My son's dead. Yes, I gave up Defense Department secrets.
I got nothing to lose. What are you going to do to me? Yeah, it's interesting that he says it like that. I think he's trying to say that there's been a death in connection to this whole thing that I'm trying to bring up, and that's my son, and that's
that
why.
Could very well be.
Yeah, I don't think he's blaming. It's an interesting point.
When we get to season 7, I'll bring this up again.
Oh, do we see Krichkow again in
2
7?
years? The first couple episodes, yep.
Interesting, because I thought for sure they would whack this guy after he's done his testimony.
He does not like Mulder.
Oh,
he's not a fan, so that was why the impetus of my question, I guess. A future episode.
But the main bit of business about this scene is that we get to learn about Rausch.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is it's a bit of a plot point dump right into the scene. It's like, why is he volunteering this other than he's answering the question? And he really volunteers it. Like he's asked, the question he's asked is, you're employed by the Department of Defense, is that correct? And he could have just said, yep.
Yeah. he does give him, he offers a little bit more information. Some of it comes from this company called Rausch. No, I don't know what they're about.
Unless maybe he does, and he's doing this to sort of push Skinner down a road where Skinner can investigate it, and that gets back to Mulder. Because they do find out later that Blevins was on Rausch payroll as well.
Mm-hmm.
The scene that was been deleted was when Krichkow looks to Skinner and says, you should write that down. Roush.
And spell it wrong.
It may be important. It may be significant somehow.
So from here we go to the hospital. We're back at the hospital with Bill.
You really believe this crap, don't you?
Yes, I do.
You see, she's your big defender, but I think the truth is she just doesn't want to disappoint you.
If it works, I don't care what you think she thinks.
You're a real piece of work, you know that, Mr. Mulder.
Why is that? Because I don't think the way you think? Because I won't just sit passively back and watch the family tragedy unfold?
You're the reason for it. And I've already lost one sister to this quest you're on. Now I'm losing another. Has it been worth it? To you, I mean. Have you found what you've been looking for?
No.
No. You know how that makes me feel?
In a way, I think I do. I lost someone very close to me. I lost a sister. I lost my father. All because of this thing I'm looking for.
It's what? Little green aliens?
Little green aliens.
You're one sorry son of a bitch. No, a lot more to say.
I really do like the scene, and it's because he's a dick that I like this scene. It can't all be easy.
No. I think the big thing with this scene, even after they're arguing about the microchip, Mulder does not give Bill what he wants, and that's a fight. That's an argument.
Yeah.
He's just answering his questions, straight face, emotionless, and telling him basically everything that he wants to know. He's not bullshitting him, but he's not giving him that argument that Bill's looking for, so he's just getting increasingly seething. And I love the way Mulder plays this whole thing.
That line though, when he says, this thing that you're fighting for, this quest you're on, has it been worth it?
Mm-hmm.
And
No.
the fact that Mulder has to be honest, because you're right, he is being very honest with Bill. But the fact that he then has to admit that, no, it really hasn't been worth it. We have not gotten anywhere. We've been foiled many times.
Yeah.
That is the moment in this scene where it's like, that's pretty rock bottom for Mulder to be confronted by this. And ultimately somebody has to do it. Somebody has to be the one to point out.
And Mulder didn't even like flinch when Bill's like, I think she's just your cheerleader. She just doesn't want to disappoint you. And he's like, you know what? If this works, I really don't care what you think she thinks. And that's so powerful. That's like,
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And you can see, even though Mulder's not like fighting with him, everything Bill is saying is affecting him.
Yeah.
He calls him a sorry son of a bitch, and you can see Mulder just kind of turn away and like, Jesus, this guy will not quit. No matter how I approach this guy, he's going to continue to try to beat me down. And it's sad for Mulder. He actually looks very moved by this whole thing because he's, in my opinion, he's forced to reflect on the fact that he doesn't have many answers even after 4 years of this.
Not much to show for it. No, it's very strong. I do like the way it's shot. And it's important that it happens, I think, because Mulder has had this capacity to just run off and fight his fight, heedless to the consequences. And this is the result of it right here. And you need some character to come on and say, not every time you run off and, be the white knight to save something, is it going to have the consequence you want?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's an important scene to have.
Very much so.
But then we get sorry son of a bitch here with cigarette smoking man calling up Mulder to provide a bit more leverage.
Setting up our patient.
Yeah, it's a nice twist. But this sets up our other plot twist where we get to see Samantha again.
Yeah, this is out of left field, and I don't know how to feel about this even now. The last time we see this character, she's playing Samantha in Endgame Season 2, I believe. She dies in that, and we learn very quickly that she's just one of many clones.
Yeah.
So, does Mulder actually believe this is his sister, or does he believe this is just a representation of his sister, and he wants to hold on to that? He acts like it's his sister, and he also lets it go very quickly. We never hear about it ever again.
I think that he totally buys it's her. I think that it's I understand what you're saying. I could be convinced that that's the case, but I think that first of all, it's a super powerful scene.
Oh, definitely.
The whole thing is so well done.
She brings it home very well.
It in a way doesn't work if he then mistrusts it at the end. I think that if anything, the illusion is so powerful that he is brought into it hook, line, and sinker.
Mm-hmm.
But the real strength in this scene is, of course, what it tells us about CSM. The fact that he's had this ace in his hole that he could produce Samantha at any time, and he chose not to. And that Samantha is being used as this pawn in this. It's so multi-level and
disturbing.
Disturbing, exactly. But it's some of the best acting I think we get out of David Duchovny, and just that scene where he's holding on to her and she's saying, "Please let me go." That's again so many levels you can read that scene because he was forced to let her go with the big abduction, but also that it brings back the idea of memories being erased and replaced and altered. It's been done to Samantha. And it also brings back the idea of cloning. Like in Colony and Endgame, we literally had clones of Samantha. Could this just be a clone that's been brought out for the convenience of the cigarette smoking man?
Yep.
Like there's so many questions that it raises. And yet Mulder is put into this position of, I can give you a sister if you want a sister. This is the power I have over you. It's the entire crux of the show because it is his quest to find his sister. Yep. And here's the choice you're being given. If you join the dark side, you can have your sister back. Super powerful.
I like what you're putting down there, but I think I'm going to choose my cynical self.
I don't think we ever have this, in this episode and in the episode in season 5, I don't think we ever have Mulder saying, hey, you remember that time Samantha just showed up and she's out there somewhere, clearly. Crazy. I should probably look into that.
And that's kind of why I'm so passive about it, is I think he knows in his heart this is not his sister.
Well, he knows that it's a ploy. It's a means to an end.
Yeah, this is a way to get him to join the dark side.
Yes. Okay. I'm a little bit more cynical, but I still think that he's keeping he's keeping a window open. He's keeping a window open that that's really Samantha.
Okay, and from here we get a quick scene with Scully and her doctor talking about miracles.
Yeah, it's classic, right? Anytime they need to talk about faith, they put it onto Scully.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. She's the vehicle for religion, and that's fine. But I do like that she essentially becomes a surrogate for Mulder in this case, and is letting Dr. Zuckerman be the surrogate for religion in a medical context, right? Like, have you ever witnessed a miracle? I used nothing but big words up here.
Yeah, man. Keep it coming.
Yeah, we use $2 words with our $2 bills. So I do like the way she puts it. Have you ever witnessed a miracle? And I don't dare call them that. Yeah. So, and that's something that Scully would probably say in that context. Mm-hmm. I like that.
It's a nice little moment because I think while she hasn't 100% re-embraced her faith, she's searching for hope. She's at the end of her rope, and she is grasping for anything that can comfort her in the slightest.
Yep.
And that's very real. I obviously have not been on my deathbed, but I can imagine that is a very real human emotion.
Mm-hmm. So now we get to see Quiet Willie getting his assassin hours in.
2,999.
Once I get this last hour, I can take the shot. It's going to be great.
All right, guys, I'm golden.
So I gotta say, in this scene, it's funny. It's not the kind of scene we've ever really seen in X-Files. And what I mean to say by that is the walk and talk among a crowd. It has a very cinematic feel to it. Like, every one of those people that they're walking through is a paid extra.
Yep.
And X-Files up to this point has been kind of bare bones in how it uses other actors. Like, there are extras in the background, and there might be some fifth business in the background, but here they are, right front and center, walking through the people, and the camera is sort of following them in a really interesting way. I don't know. It's very different.
To that point, X-Files bread and butter is dark meetings on, park pathways and desolate city streets, but this is right in the thick of it, so you're very on point with that.
My apologies for the rather hasty departure last night.
What do you want from me?
Want from me?
You give me these things, the only things I ever wanted. I can't think of any reason for you to do so.
Well, that's true. No act is completely selfless. But I've come today not to ask, but to offer. To offer you the truth that you so desperately sought. About the project, about the men who've conspired to protect it.
I know the truth.
Do you?
I spoke to one of your men.
And you know that he's not a liar?
I've seen enough to know he's not a liar yet.
You've seen but scant pieces of the whole.
What more can you show me?
This man you spoke to, Michael Krichka, he's deceived you with beautiful lies. He's told you that everything you've ever believed about the existence of extraterrestrial life is untrue.
What are you saying?
As I said, I'm offering you a chance to know the truth.
In exchange for what?
Quit the FBI. Come work for me. You can make your problems go away.
No deal.
After all I've given you.
What have you given me? A claim of a cure for Scully? Is she cured? You show me my sister only to take her right back? You've given me nothing.
I intend to keep my promises. I just need something from you.
You murdered my father. You killed Scully's sister, and if Scully dies, I will kill you. I don't care whose father you are, I will put you down.
Well, you're certainly capable, so I've been told. I understand you have a hearing tomorrow where you'll have to testify to these murderous impulses of yours.
And very alive too, like the foliage. Like they've got big fruit baskets or something on in the corner. Like the flowers and such. It's just a really, like, it's a lovely day that they're taking this walk. So I
was actually waiting for that from CSM. You know what, Mulder? Hold on a second. It is nice out today.
Yeah. You know what? I think I'm going to give up smoking. This if you join me, I'll give up smoking, son.
This confidence. That's awesome.
All right. So we've got a lot of stuff in this scene. We've got Fox saying, "Why are you coming to me now? Why show me these things that I want now?" And it's, again, a great example of the writer of the episode, which is Chris Carter, of course. But he is asking the questions that the viewer is asking. Like, why are we going to this great length? I mean, we know we've had the scene with the well-fed man. We know that CSM wants to recruit Mulder into this organization of his. But it is a very valid question. Like, why now? Why not somewhere in season 2, right before you're about to firebomb me in a train car?
Fucking train car.
You know, why the change of heart, Dad?
Yeah.
But we've got CSM who's now going to give us our moment of doubt that Krichkow's a liar. But, if you come to me, I can give you everything. If you quit the FBI and come to work for me, I will tell you the truth.
It's so good. Like,
yeah.
In that moment, I would like say yes. Just because I want to know, you know?
Yeah.
No deal. I love that line. I don't care whose father you are, I will put you down.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Hard on for Mulder.
Yep. Too much history there. You try and firebomb me, I can't trust you.
And you know what? It's kind of giving Mulder that ammunition that he needed. All of this stuff that you've shown me is superficial. I don't know that Scully's going to be cured. My sister, You took her right back. I can't trust you still. And not that he would ever, but
I will contend though. And again, I'm going to veer away from cynical Mulder.
God damn it.
But
no,
she's the one who leaves. It's not CSM saying, "Honey, we got to go back to Connecticut." It's her saying, "I have to go. I can't do this now. I need to think about it." She is the one that propels the end. All right, so she's a clone and she's been programmed.
She's been programmed to
the timer has gone off
after 3 minutes.
Fair enough. Okay, cynical Mulder engaged.
Just get on board.
All right. I mean, I'm no assassin. No, I'll just put that out there. But
all right.
I think if I was in that guy's shoes, I've played a few video games. I bet you if I pull the right trigger button on my little joypad, I could take out CSM pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're led to believe that there's a threat there, but I don't know. A part of me which likes to think that Quiet Willie is not an incompetent boob, is waiting for some other trigger to commit to doing this, that he has not, whatever parameters have been set up for this mission have not come into play yet. Maybe CSM has to be on his own, mournfully looking at a picture. That's the perfect kill shot.
That's the only shot. He was directed to take that shot.
You may proceed is that shot.
While he's in the apartment, he's like, "Oh, is the picture in his hand? Oh, now's my chance.
Turn on your laser." Oh, he's going to die 4 times, apparently, throughout the X-Files. He's going to die and make it 4 times. Yeah, he's slippery.
Yeah.
All right, shippers, tell me about the next scene. Oh, wait, no, this is...
No. We're back at the hospital with Mommy. I've always waited for Mom and Scully to get together.
Sorry, I missed ahead of my notes. But I do like this scene for Mrs. Scully. I know that she gets a lot of flack. But again, this is where I put it, that this is the mom you want when you are at a health crisis.
She has 2 episodes I can tolerate her in, and this is one of them.
Okay, but to recap, this is a scene where she's finding her faith. She's done so much when she needs it the most. She pushes it away.
Mm-hmm.
Do we buy it? I'm not sure I do, because she's a pretty strong person.
I think she's
got a lot of faith, but faith in a higher power to see her through this.
I kind of agree with you. It's a death is an easy way to push a character to re-embrace their faith, but it works for me in the long run.
Don't get me wrong. It's Gillian Anderson doing her level best to
absolutely.
run this scene, but I don't know. Look, the writing feels a little clunky to me, that they're painting this character into a corner of, she's the one who we can talk about religion through, so let's have her have a little crisis of faith.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm with you on that one.
Okay, I will hold you to that. So now we have...
Well, thank you. I'm a little scared for the future.
So we have the first elder, as he will forever be known, looking at TV about the cloning subcommittee or whatever, and Skinner is in there. Every time I see this, I just think, well, this is just a red herring. It's a giant red herring. I don't get what this is about or why we're seeing this, other than we needed... I feel like this is our moment where, if we know the well-fed man is a bad guy and he's mad at Skinner, then maybe Skinner is clearly not our bad guy. Is that what this scene's trying to do?
Yeah. That juxtaposition of Skinner being told to the audience that he can be or should be doubted. This scene kind of undoes that.
Yeah.
It's very much, okay, well, why is well-fed man so angry that Skinner is still around? Wasn't the FBI problem supposed to be taken care of? So that's a good thing for Skinner. It shows that he's not part of whatever this plan is.
Okay, so if we take a step back then, the well-fed man is using Blevins and this whole plot to get Mulder and Scully to implicate Skinner as the mole within the FBI, and thereby take Skinner off the board. Is that...
Yeah, I would say that's part of it, if not.
All right. This is our service to you, the listener, untangling the plot threads of the X-Files. That was always a bit unclear to me, exactly what was the overall arc of this particular plot thread.
I'm with you. It is confusing.
Okay. So I generally think of myself as pretty smart. So this is the moment coming up now. And this surely has some kind of acronym for shippers everywhere, where Scully's in the hospital and Mulder comes in at night and has a little weepy moment holding her hand.
This is easily David Duchovny's finest moment, if not one of them. I know a lot of people make fun of the large mouth eating the hand thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I see.
I understand it. Like if you've ever been feeling so bad and you're trying to hold back a cry, I believe every second of this. He doesn't want to disturb her, number one. He's feeling all these emotions. He loves her, platonic for the sake of season 5. But he doesn't want her to die. And this is, again, in my opinion, more important than even his sister at this point. And he's losing. If he loses her, his life will be shattered. And
listen, it worked in one breath. It can work here too.
Yeah.
All right. So we have that lovely moment. And now we're going to go back to Blevins' office, where Mulder's going to get a bit of a deal proposed to him by Section Chief Blevins. And I don't know. I always looked at this like, this doesn't really make sense. Why are they going to let Mulder go if he gives up Skinner? Why wouldn't they just take him down anyway? Oh, you're still guilty of a murder, by the way, but we'll take down Skinner too, because you've implicated him as a man who is giving up info on the FBI.
Mm-hmm. It's a convoluted plot. I would say to remove Skinner is to remove an ally at high position, or they could just prosecute Mulder.
Well, I think that Blevins is being orchestrated by the well-fed man. I think the previous scene where basically the well-fed man's saying, "I thought we were going to take care of this. Mm-hmm. Let's get this done right now, and then I'm gonna wrap this shit up." So when Blevins says, if you name this man today in your testimony, we can file charges against him, charges which may very well exonerate you. I mean, it's clearly he's like saying, if you do this thing for me, we can figure out a way to make this all go away. Like, very subtly saying that. And I do feel like it's a clear link between what the Well-Fed Man has orchestrated and what's happening here. Mm-hmm. So, and yeah, when Blevins says, this is the advice I'm giving you as a friend.
As a friend.
Like, yeah, I mean, they're not friends. Clearly, this is a very poor attempt to manipulate him, and that's enough to make Mulder go, well, if I get to name anybody, I'm naming you because we ain't friends.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could just kill Mulder. I mean, why all the gamesmanship here? It's like, I understand it makes for good TV because there's so much plot going on, but ultimately, I just look at it like, this is so convoluted.
That part is, I agree with that. I would agree that take Mulder out while you got the opportunity. But
or erase his memory. They got the technology.
But yeah, I guess their ultimate goal is to remove Skinner. Scully's dying, and then Mulder will be nothing to worry about.
Yep. I accept it. Maybe that is a more finessed way to deal with the problem rather than kill somebody or provide an unexplainable memory loss. Just have this thing all fall out according to the way it looks. It solves a lot of problems. So I'm willing to suspend my disbelief because it makes for an interesting end.
Yeah. And then we're on to the hospital again with Scully, their last meeting before the hearing.
Yes, back in the hospital bed. What's the big push in this one? This is Mulder making up his mind, hey?
Yeah, Mulder was approached by two people with deals, and he's decided not to take either one of them. Scully is still convinced that Skinner's the mole. Mulder won't believe it.
I like that Mulder doesn't tell Scully that the cigarette smoking man is the one who offered a deal. Like he's very cagey about it. I've been offered a deal that could save my life. I've refused it. He was going to take it, but ultimately he didn't. So I dig that he's cagey about that because he they've had some complicated dealings with a cigarette smoking man.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna ally yourself with the man who gave me cancer?
Yeah, yeah, that would be a conversation.
Kind of we call that a dissolution of a friendship.
Yeah,
yeah. If Blevins hadn't, kind of tried to be the friend that supposedly he thought he could sell himself as, I think Mulder thought differently.
Yeah, I like that. Essentially, what this means is that Scully is still the touchstone. He is where Mulder needs. Scully is where Mulder needs to go whenever his faith is shaken, and when he goes there, he's reminded of what he really needs to do. And I think that's ultimately what this scene is about. He goes there to convince himself he's doing the right thing. It's some of my favorite lines when he says, ultimately confirming what we already talked about, that he can't let her take the blame, because of your brother, your mother, and he couldn't live with it. Again, this is the beautiful part about this script. He's explaining why this obvious solution is untenable. He just can't live with it. And
So yeah, FBI inquiry.
Final use of that conference room. God rest it.
It's so beautiful. This is the scene we've all been waiting for, quite honestly.
So this is Mulder's opportunity to recap the last 4 years, and thankfully he does it pretty quickly and without a whole lot of cuts of young Mulder.
4 years ago, while working on an assignment outside the FBI mainstream, I was paired with Special Agent Dana Scully, who I believed was sent to spy on me, to debunk my investigations into the paranormal. That Agent Scully did not follow these orders is a testament to her integrity as an investigator, a scientist, and a human being. She has paid dearly for this integrity.
Agent Mulder, Agent Scully lied straight-faced to this panel about your death.
She lied because I asked her to. Because I had evidence of a conspiracy against the American people.
We've already heard testimony to these allegations, Agent Mulder.
And a conspiracy intended to destroy the lives of those who would reveal its true purpose. To conduct experiments on unwitting victims to further a secret agenda for someone within the government operating at levels without restraint or responsibility. without morals or conscience, men who pretend to honor as they deceive. The price of this betrayal, the lives and reputations of those deceived. Agent Scully is lying in a hospital bed right now, diagnosed with terminal cancer. The victim of these same tests, conducted without her knowledge or consent, by these same men who, as they try to cover their tracks, who suborn and persecute the same people they've used in their plot, I will now call by name.
Agent Mulder, did you or did you not shoot the man found dead in your apartment?
I will answer that question, sir.
Did you shoot Scott Osselhoff, employee of the Department of Defense?
I will answer that question, sir.
Answer the question asked, Agent Mulder.
I will answer the question after I name the man.
Agent Mulder.
I will answer that question after I name the man who was responsible for Agent Scully. The same man who directed that my apartment be surveilled by the DOD, a man I want to see prosecuted for his crimes, who is sitting in this very room as I speak.
Agent Mulder, the section chief has asked you a question you are going to answer.
I can't do that, sir.
You can and you will.
I can't do that, sir, because the section chief is the man I'm about to name.
It very quickly gets back to the idea of there's a conspiracy within the FBI. The recap is fast and furious, intercut with Scully saying prayers with the...
It's so good.
It is very, very good. And our Wild Willie, or Quiet Willie, being, getting his last hours in before he's
you see that tick, that meter just hit gold.
He's ready to do it. The plot is ready to take it, CSM. But yeah, it is a really nicely done scene. And I almost have this feeling like they've done everything in the whole episode to lead to this moment where we can have the reveal of Blevins. We can take out CSM. And then the fake suicide at the hands of the third man of...
Which opens the door even further. Okay, so that guy's part of it too.
Yeah.
And now he's essentially the man in charge.
I guess, although I don't think we ever see him again.
We don't. It's one of those things where it's like, all right.
He pulls a cry check. He goes to China.
Yep.
So, thoughts on this scene? I mean, I dig a little bit that Mulder is the petulant. I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not going to answer the question. I'm going to do this inquiry on my terms, but I don't know.
He's earned this. I think at this point, he's realizing he's been a pawn, or again, at least in his mind, depending on who he believes, Krichgau or CSM. He's been a pawn for at least 4 years, and he's done. He's done with all the lies. He's going to say what he needs to say. The intercutting of CSM's supposed murder and Scully praying with the priest.
Yep.
So well done. And the Mark Snow, again, laying it on us with that ramping up of the music.
What about the big fake suicide of Blevins at the end? Like, I swear, it's like 20 seconds that all that stuff happens. CSM gets shot, Blevins shows up, third man smokes him.
Yeah, I think we're led to believe that there was a jump in time, obviously, that, the meeting dispersed because of the bombshell, and there's being an investigation. That's why the third man's on the phone. He hangs up, Blevins comes in, and it's over,
Yeah.
Because he was at the inquiry, so I choose to believe there was like a half hour.
Well,
just all right.
We're gonna take a brief recess.
We got to investigate this.
Yeah, and I like that Mulder is able to just name Blevins without providing any evidence.
Well, evidence that we see, and yes, I'm gonna be the flag holder for the show. I mean, we've had 4 years of shit and being spied on and wiretaps and. Does he have physical evidence? No, probably not.
Well, I suppose that the same evidence that Scully found with all the phone calls getting routed from Scott Osselhoff to the executive level of the FBI, I suppose you could make an argument that they were going to Blevins, or could have gone to the third man as well. But I think the important thing is just that he reacts the way he does because he's been directly named. Like,
right.
The bluff pays off. Is what we need to get out of it.
I agree. It's good stuff.
So we end our action-packed scene with the first of our two epilogues, I think, our double epilogue. First with Mulder and Skinner revealing that cigarette smoking man was shot, but of course there was too much blood loss for anyone to have survived. No body was found.
I like the reaction when Skinner says, "We assume he's dead. There was no body." And Mulder's like, "Yeah, right. Okay, he's not dead." He doesn't buy it, I don't think, in that moment.
So how do they know it was him that was shot?
Apparently they knew where he lived still. I don't know.
Wasn't that in Mulder's apartment? Oh, no, that wasn't.
That was CSM's
That was his own apartment where he drinks beer and writes novels.
There's Morley baskets all over the place. Just
that's fair.
Cartons of Morley's. They knew it was his apartment.
Must have been Secret Smoking Man's apartment. His neighbors called it in. Yeah.
He's got a Morley hat.
Yeah, for some reason I thought he was in Mulder's apartment, but you're right. It's not the same one. Like in the past when we've had Mulder revealing these notes of, they're taking away all the evidence, they're shutting us down, they're closing it off. He's really got that anger about him, right? But I love how he's very even about this, and that's your first clue that he's not ticked off because we're going to get some good news here. And yeah, sure enough, it's Scully's going to survive. It's a really nice twist on stereotypical Mulder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he tells Skinner to go say hi. And she offers kind of like this apologetic smile.
Yeah.
I know I was going to accuse you of all this stuff a few minutes ago, but...
all that stuff before, right? We're cool.
We're cool. I didn't mean it. No, but the last scene with Mulder in the hall, I wanted to kind of point out the fact that as happy as he is in this moment, he's immediately crushed again, because now it's back to his sister and he realizes he's got nothing. And it's a weird moment because he should be so happy that Scully's alive. And I believe that he is. It's just like he can't get any closure, this guy. Like nothing ends up the way he kind of imagines it to end up. So his partner's back. She's going to recover from this. But now he's looking at this picture that Skinner brought and he's devastated again. I think it's a pretty powerful scene.
Are you suggesting that he actually thought that was Samantha that he met? That this wasn't some clone with an agenda?
I don't think that. I think he's genuinely still like, I still don't have any closure about my sister, and it's still a very open wound. And had Skinner not brought that picture from CSM's apartment,
he could be happy.
He could be happy. He could have that moment to enjoy it with Scully. And he just ends the episode crying. And he catches the big mouth before it happens.
I think that there is a lot wrapped up in that moment, simply because even if Samantha came walking in, like, would anything about her existence be confirmable that this is in fact Samantha? After having seen clones of Samantha, after knowing that, all the memories can be removed, replaced, updated, there's just no way of knowing what is true about Samantha anymore.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of that there.
Yeah, totally valid. We did it.
Got through it. It's a really solid reboot of the plot lines. I think up until this point, they've kind of painted themselves into a corner of, we've teased out all of the story elements. We are showing the viewers that it's an alien story, but how can we make it fresh? How can we refresh it? And so introducing Krichkow and this whole, it's been a hoax the whole time. Everything you're going to have to rethink. It was a really smart idea, a really smart play, and I think it gave them a lot of breathing room for at least 2 more seasons.
Absolutely. And it's so simple too, right? I mean, because what is the actual government saying about this stuff? It's a hoax. It's fake. So it's so obvious to
the
take
lie
a
is
turn
the
like
truth.
This. Yeah. So it's really cool, and it did give this show just such breathing room for the next few seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it.
I think I led the episode here with my final thoughts.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So this has been a really interesting examination of Redux 2, and I think the only comment I would say is just the reboot is solid. Like it's setting it up for some really interesting play in the rest of season 5.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at tinhxfilespod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming. It's that time, everyone, the Magus Media Production sales pitch. Please check out our homepage at magusmediaproductions.net so you can stay up to date on all of our shows. Check out our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/magusmediaproductions, both of which have our Discord link on it, where you can join us for live shows as we record them for future release. At Magus Media Prods on X, our Patreon, patreon.com/magusmedia, where a $5 donation will help us keep the lights on and bringing you new content, and you get some stickers. Thank you for your consideration and support.